Hi folks, this is the Thrifty Gamer 83 bringing you a video that's completely different than videos I've done in the past. Today will not be a review day. Today will just be me voicing my concerns about the direction that Nintendo is taking. And it's not that much of a concern to me about the direction that Nintendo takes. I know as a Nintendo fan that it's easy to say, well, they're doing wrong in the market trending and analysis. They're doing this wrong, they're doing that wrong. Nintendo has always had its first party licenses, and they always will have their first party licenses. The reason why they don't want to throw in the towel and become a third party developer is that if they threw in the towel, then it would basically be saying, well, Nintendo had been around and they really made so many gambles that it just didn't make sense. Now, while I can agree that with how many gambles that they've made, it's really not something that was entirely their fault. What I've seen is that some of the third-party licenses and contractors have really not followed through in defending their own products. When you look at how much Ubisoft had put into a defense of Zombie U, it was lackluster. It was terrible planning by Ubisoft. They packaged together a game which rivaled which really did rival, I should say, the tense atmosphere in dystopia of The Walking Dead. And when they refuse to even protect their product, or to say to reviewers, well, the reason why the game has such an inherent difficulty is because it's not a typical Resident Evil game. You don't have the luxuries of having an immunity complex in the game. What you have so far with Nintendo is trying to defend itself in sales with its first party licenses. The second and third parties have really let them down in the past, and it's more of a concern that it will be more of the same for Nintendo, simply because when the third party licenses treat you like you're at the kiddie table and then say, well, we don't really see a need to defend our products. We don't really have the time, and you're more of a kiddie console. That's the problem that Nintendo has right now, is that even though they've published games like Mad World for the Wii, and as well No More Heroes, what's really happening is that for all the times Nintendo has been there to publish, third parties have pretty much said, well, Sony and Microsoft, they have more M games, they're more adult, they have more attitude. And while it's true they have the attitude, what they don't have right now is really the all-around experience, which many marketing experts and analysts could say, well, what happens if Microsoft fails with the Xbox One? What happens if PlayStation fails with the PlayStation 4? It's really tenure of the situation. First party licenses are meant to keep the product going. Third party licenses are meant to do a compare and contrast between systems while they slowly build the sales reputation and database. For that to happen, though, they first have to build the confidence in the consumers with first party titles. Microsoft did that extraordinarily well with the Halo series. Halo has pretty much become a first-person shooter Mario for Microsoft. And the first-party experience for Microsoft has been smashing. It's been a real success for Halo. And you have to wonder what else will happen in the future. The AAA studios are feeling the budget crunch as well, with Capcom and others being basically up for sale. The diversified accounts and the accounting practices are really starting to hurt the companies which have been solid for years. Instead, they're on the verge of liquidation and hostile takeovers. Nintendo doesn't have to worry about that, though. Nintendo's a first party. They know how to recover. They have the knowledge to recover. They've done it right now with the Wii U with Mario Kart 8. And the first party experience has lended itself well, so that Nintendo has no fear about how they're going to market their products. It's really been a wild ride for Nintendo, and they've managed to come out unscathed with using their first party licenses to drive sales. Now, if the third party atmosphere wasn't feeling the budget crunch so often and so soon, then many people would not be screaming about Nintendo being relegated to a third party. In fact, the third party atmosphere of Nintendo would virtually destroy it overnight. It would create an atmosphere that would jumble without any proven console. Nintendo would be on the outs. And that would not be their strongest case, because Nintendo's always had the stronger first party base. And we're talking about titles like Mario. We're talking about titles like F-Zero, like Zelda. Now imagine if that were to suddenly change and go cross-platform. I think that would be a mistake for Nintendo, given their viability in the market for creating consoles. And it's not just about being a family-friendly console either. It's about sales. Right now, when people look for family-friendly, they're looking at the Nintendo Wii or the Nintendo Wii U. Even used GameCubes are being looked at, not just as collector's items, but as real family-friendly consoles. Now, keep in mind, however, I really think what Nintendo had done with Resident Evil 4 for the GameCube really restored what they were capable of. Nintendo has released M games through third parties, and I still view that Resident Evil 4 was the pinnacle of the GameCube. For the PlayStation 2, I viewed the fact that they made it just a little bit easier as a letdown. The danger in third parties of performing those tasks can echo for years to come with how you make one game for one system or through one system. And Nintendo is a first party. They are not a third party. They have market share and viability. There were instances for keeping a continual distraction on saying how they should go into the third party is basically for those who want to invest into the company through vulture capitalism to have stake, to have a decision, to find a way to make Nintendo what they wanted to be, a third-party developer. Unfortunately, that will never happen. What they are looking at right now is saying, oops, we thought we had him. We thought we had him on the ropes. But it's the first parties which saved Nintendo. And for all the market trending and analysis, Nintendo doesn't do a soft sell. They do a hard sell. Again, Ubisoft really dropped the ball on Zombie U by not even defending it. They let Nintendo sit with it, and sit with it, and sit with it. And all the while, reviewers were panning it because of the inherent difficulty. They panned it because of the control schematic with the tablet controller. And really, the tablet controller was one of the most influential decisions that Nintendo has made. Sadly, many developers will not take advantage of. It's hard to see into the future. There's no crystal ball, but with that being said, with so much happening in the land of third-party developers, it's really not Nintendo's fault if companies like Ubisoft cannot defend their initial products and cannot defend their relationships. I can understand why it's tenuous at best for Nintendo to continue with Ubisoft, to continue publishing games which aren't dance or Let's Dance style games. It's really hard, and it affects all developers across platforms when they back off from marketing for Nintendo and aggressive advertising. This is Thrifty Gamer saying, please subscribe to my channel, like, rate, hate, whatever you gotta do.